Gonna avoid spoilers since this film did just come out, and I really don't feel like I need to spoil all of it to tell you the things I do and don't like about it. There may be minor spoilers, but not a whole lot, nothing you haven't seen in the trailers. I'll start by saying that Wonder Woman 1984 is a special film. It's one of those superhero films that's more than an action movie. It has something to say beyond entertainment value, so much so that it's honestly not much of an action movie. It's far more dramatic, and that's really good in my opinion. This film spends way more time making you appreciate his characters. But, unlike the first film, it spends the time making them feel more human. It's probably the only subtle thing about this film. In the first one, Wonder Woman's flaw was naivety, or naivete, which is a bit weak to me. It makes her feel inhuman, and not in a very inspiring way like, say, in the comics. In this film, it's not beaten over your head, but anyone who watches can tell that Wonder Woman has many human flaws. She's still a naturally good person. Even she has wants and desires that keep her from doing the right thing immediately. If you've seen the trailer, mild spoiler alert, then you know that the best Chris in Hollywood is back, and his return tests Wonder Woman in a way that may seem predictable, but still gut-wrenching. Warning to Wonder Woman fans, anyone who knows a lot about the character knows that there are generally two versions of Wonder Woman. There's the Amazon warrior who runs headfirst into battle with a sword and shield in hand, ready and able to take on anyone and everyone. Then there's the defender of love and peace, the one who never raises her fist before she's extended her hand, and sometimes not even then. These two versions are constantly at odds. If only she had like 100 different popular versions like Batman, then she'd be set. I personally can go for either one. They both have their merits, they both have excellent runs that dive into the many facets of their interpretations, but I have to be clear. In this movie, this is not Warrior Wonder Woman. This is the defender of peace and love. She's not going to go 300 on anyone in this movie, and there's nothing wrong with that. In terms of performances, nothing special is really going on. Most of the actors have played these characters before. I don't think anyone is bad, specifically talking about the heroes. I mean, Gal Gadot is a good actress. I hope I said her last name right. I think I say it differently every time I've done a video where she's acting in it. But you know what? Forget it. You know who she is. She's a great Wonder Woman. Though admittedly, like with the first film, she's not the strongest actor, and that is a bit noticeable in some parts. Some line delivery comes off a bit stilted, particularly when Diana is most emotional. But by and large, she is so endearing and likable as Wonder Woman. She captures the warmth that comes from a character who would truly try to be everyone's friend. This more than makes up for a few stilted line deliveries. And Chris Pine, I've said it before, I'll say it again, makes a good case that he's the best Chris at acting in Hollywood. He's an intricate part to this film, which I think is surprising considering how many of my favorite reviewers made it seem like he wasn't. For anyone worried that his death and sacrifice in the first film was ruined, no spoilers, but trust me when I say that it isn't. And there are no really big plot holes with the future appearances if you care about the DCEU timeline. Just know this, it only amplifies his sacrifice and places Diana at the center of it more than the first one did. It all leads to an emotional payoff I find equal to his sacrifice in the first film. Chris Pine's Steve Trevor is as charming and funny as he ever was. But more than that, there's something that's more dramatic and touching about how he reacts to the 1980s more than how Diana reacted to World War I London. She was coming into this bleak world where in this one, he's witnessing the country he sacrificed his life for. Some of these moments are less funny and just more touching because of that. The villains in this film are great too, the both of them. Pedro Pascal and Kristen Wiig are perfect as Maxwell Lord and Barbara Ann Minerva. Maxwell Lord isn't the sadistic and controlling villain he is in the comics, but he's far more human in a way that improves upon the character rather than, say, a certain purple guy who went from Shakespearean villain to dumb science guy who can't do math.
That's stupid! You're stupid! Stop being stupid!
I honestly believe they're the best villains of the DCEU, even more than Birds of Prey's Black Mask and Man of Steel's Zod, who are my two reigning favorites right now. They both occupy a different space in the story and have real human motivations that a lot of people can relate to. More than that, the story intertwines with the messages behind their characters perfectly. The performances are a bit cartoony from both Pedro Pascal and Kristen Wiig, but that's to a success in my opinion. That's clearly intentional and on purpose, which makes them both entertaining on paper and on screen. Maxwell Lord has real motivations for doing what he is. They're far from being wholly original, but the mantra that life is good, but it can be better, really hits home because in Maxwell's own words, why shouldn't it be? He really hits at a human need to want, and not necessarily at the cost of another, but because life is hard and to make anything out of it, we have to suffer. Maxwell Lord forces everyone to come to terms with who they are and what it is they want in the world. When he comes against Diana Prince, she has to force him in the world to remember that everything has a price. We need to remember that we all want something, and it's meaningful because we all suffer for it. There's so much behind the film's climax and its message. I could probably go on for days about it, but the film will show you better than I can tell you. And about Cheetah, I can tell you this. Cheetah's cool. But the only real disappointment that I have with this film is how it ends her story, and I really want more of her. Cheetah is easily, in my opinion, Wonder Woman's best villain, and should be around for far more than one film. Maxwell Lord is likable, but his story is complete and satisfying, so I don't need more of him. I doubted Kristen Wiig at first, but she really nails this more cartoony version of the character. Dr. Barbara Ann Minerva is endearing and relatable, which Kristen Wiig lives and breathes. But shockingly, her turn into the ferocious and violent cheetah doesn't throw me out of the film. The need and desire for power to be someone better than everyone else truly captures what makes her Wonder Woman's arch enemy, because everything I said to describe Cheetah is the antithesis of a well-written Wonder Woman. We never see the transformation. She's not the cheetah at one moment, and then suddenly she is, which is a really weird shift. But when we do see her as Cheetah, she looks better than I would have thought, honestly. I honestly don't think this is gonna be like Cats, the film again. I promise, it's not the best looking design. But I think she's cool. She's intimidating, and makes for a really cool final action scene that I actually did not expect to be as good as it was. Another thing people might be here or there on the film is that it has a very apparent cartooniness that won't be for everyone. I appreciate it, but not everyone will, and that's okay. But to anyone who thinks cartooniness in itself is inherently bad,
That's stupid! You're stupid! Stop being stupid!
Director Patty Jenkins once made a good statement on cheesiness in camp. There's no such thing. I've been guilty of it, but I'm starting to come around to her side that saying something is cheesy and campy is stupid. It's just a silly put down, because truly there's nothing wrong with the story being open, honest, and sincere. It makes perfect sense if you don't like it, but it's not bad because you don't. Subtlety is good, but there's nothing wrong with being the opposite of subtle when you're honest and open about it. And this film is. Patty Jenkins said it best. It's terrible when it makes so many artists afraid to be sincere and truthful and emotional, and relegates them to the too cool for school department. But from the few but diverse and attention-grabbing action scenes to the dramatic points, this film is sincere in a way people would call very cheesy, but they shouldn't. This film is heartfelt, with a message that should touch people. I won't say everyone needs to hear it, but I get why people are saying that. It's about Wonder Woman, but the story makes her a normal person in a way the source material usually fails to do, I think. I love this film. I wouldn't recommend that you see it in theaters because of COVID. I don't care what anyone says or what some insane directors think. No film is worth risking your health. They're just films. But it's good. So if and once you can see it safely, you should. Since this is a DCEU film, I figure I should probably add it to the rankings I did earlier this year when Birds of Prey came out. God, that feels like so long ago, but that was this year. I think if my own tastes weren't so specifically crude and leaned so heavily towards violence, Wonder Woman 1984 would probably be my favorite DCEU film. Only Birds of Prey I think is crafted and written better than this one. Though I almost give this one the edge for its heart, but not quite. There are a few edges that weren't sanded down, particularly with the effects and action. I won't lie, every time Wonder Woman is using her super speed, you can see the line work. I know it's on purpose. I can tell it's a homage to classic Superman films and the Linda Carter Wonder Woman TV show. But it's just far from my favorite thing. The last action scene of Wonder Woman vs. the Cheetah won't go down in any history books as some amazing and terrific action scene, like say most of those in Birds of Prey, but that doesn't mean it isn't good. And inventive in its own right, honestly. I don't care what anyone says. The Golden Eagle armor is cool. Probably cooler in this film than in the comic. This is the one the few times you'll ever hear me say that. So I think this film is a firm number 2 spot in my DCEU ranking. First is Birds of Prey. Second, Wonder Woman 1984. Third, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. Fourth is Man of Steel. Fifth is Aquaman. Sixth is Shazam. I had to say it funny. I don't think I could did it better, but that's it. That's the take we're going with. Seventh is the first Wonder Woman movie. Eighth is the Justice League. And last but not least is Suicide Squad. Maybe James Gunn's Suicide Squad will rank pretty high, or maybe I'll fit Zack Snyder's Justice League on this list somehow. It'll probably be long till the next DCU review either way, unless they delay them again. I'm still trying to figure out if I should put a 4-part miniseries now on the same list as a set of movies. That seems kind of unfair. I mean, the more time I spend on something, the more I probably like it. This is how I am. But what's your DCEU ranking? Did you like Wonder Woman 1984? If you could see it? I guess I said that weird. Like if you did see it. Not if you could see it. If you could see, you would have seen it probably. Let me know. Like and subscribe. Check out my books on Amazon. And check out our social media in the description below. See ya.